your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
Well, come on along and welcome aboard to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on this Friday. Verdell Jones is with us, sitting in co-hosting. Verdell, how's it going, man?
Good. How you guys doing?
Doing fine. Alec Lasley will be along later from thehoosier.com to get you caught up on Indiana basketball. We've got plenty to talk about. Verdell, what's new going on with you, man? It's been you were off last week, sick. Hope you're glad you're feeling better now and getting back as we get ready for the wintertime, man. You can't get sick as we get into winter.
It usually happens this time around of the year when, the harvest of the field starts happening. That dust gets in the air, man. My allergies just can't take it. So I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to be feeling good. And I'm even more happy to be tested negative for COVID. So everything's going in the right direction.
Yeah, speaking of COVID, somebody who did not test negative for COVID, the president of the United States, Donald Trump, and his wife, the First Lady, Melania, reports came out late or early this morning that the president has tested positive for COVID, man. We don't do much news on here, but that's kind of a big deal. So we'll hope that all things come through that. I don't care what your politics are. It doesn't matter to me. Let's hope the president of the United States stays healthy. But that's kind of a big deal, man.
It is. I mean, that's our leader right now, and we're at a time right now where we need all hands on deck. So hopefully he gets back healthy again.
How much in everyday life and everything you're doing right now is COVID a thought? I mean, I'll be honest with you. I think about it a lot. I'm like, I keep my mask in my pocket, and it's a thought. I'm like, I do not want to catch that.
Oh, it definitely is. I mean, here we work with young people in our program, and my day job is it's in construction. So when we're going in to meet all these different kind of workers, different kind of customers, man, it's definitely at the forefront. Anytime you're meeting a lot of people on a regular basis, you always have that in the back of your head, hoping and making sure that all the precautions are taking place.
Absolutely. Lots going on this weekend. We've already had sports going on right now. Last night we had NFL, Verdell, 2 0-3 teams. I don't know how many people took the time to tune into that game. I did not. But I think Denver is now no longer winless. They are 1-3, and the Jets slide to an 0-4 mark. So that's not much fun. And the Major League Baseball playoffs are off. Around here, either is I guess really a Reds fan or a Cardinals fan. I think I'm a Reds guy. I've grown up being a Reds fan. They got swept out of the playoffs, 2-0 by Atlanta. So, but at least St. Louis is still going. They're tied with the Padres, 1 game apiece after the Padres won 11-9 last night. You got a baseball team, Verdell?
I'm a Cubs fan, so
that makes sense. Yeah, you're
the
up
Cards
there.
And the Reds.
Yeah, I should have threw the Cubs in there. As a matter of fact, really, it's actually those 3 teams. You're either a Cubs fan, a Cardinals fan, or a Reds fan around here. I think we're just kind of in that area where it draws from those in this direction. But and then you add Kyle Schwarber to the Cubs lineup, and that has drawn even more IU people to the Cubs.
Oh yeah, most definitely, man. I mean, it's the Cubs, it's a love-hate relationship, man, but I was kind of born into it, so we'll ride this wave.
Well, it's the Cubs fans have just seems like they've been around forever, just in their misery, but now they don't have to worry about misery anymore. Their Cubs they won a World Series title. They're in the playoffs again. That's something. I saw something somebody posted the other day. The Cubs are in the playoffs for the first time since 2018. I'm like, are you kidding me? You go 2 years, you guys went 100 years, didn't win a World Series title, and you're talking about not being in the playoffs for 2 years? It's kind of funny.
Yeah, we're drunk a lot of times.
Former Indiana soccer star Mason Toye is headed north of the border as he is going to Minnesota FC in the big league. So, congratulations to him. Harry Kreider on the Indiana football team has been nominated, I think, for the lost that award it was on there, but he's been nominated. So you got a lot of football players being nominated for preseason awards. Michael Penix yesterday or the other day said that they're going to shock the world this year. I know you're over in Illinois, Verdell, but Indiana football has just not quite been what Indiana basketball has been. But, man, they've got a good team this year in this COVID year, this weird year. And now, can you imagine being an athlete during this time, this COVID time? Because you've been through the D1 wars. It's tough enough being a Division I athlete, and adding this, wow, that's a lot.
It is. This adds a whole different dynamic. I mean, I can only imagine what some of the guys are going through this year, and especially some of these seniors. You work so hard to get to a certain point, and with your final year being this year, the uncertainty of how the season is going to go or how things are going to kind of manifest, it has to be a worrisome feeling. I mean, especially with momentum. With the IU football team coming in last year, I mean, you want to build on that momentum, and you just went from not having a season a few weeks ago to having to rush and get ready for your first game in a couple of weeks. So, I mean, it's an interesting time we're living in.
No doubt. Well, anything new with you that's going on? Well, I know that you work with the Mesh Plus people. You bring in Wi-Fi to underprivileged kids. And what's going on with you right now?
Man, like I said, just staying busy, man. Just really, really trying to help these young people. I actually had to go to court yesterday to stand in for a kid. I mean, just this COVID situation has really, really, really made a bad situation worse. A lot of kids, they don't have the resources here in Champaign that some of the other places do. And when COVID hit, the very few resources that were available, like our program got shut down. So, these kids are just at home all day and with a lot of idle time. And I'm sure you heard the saying, idle time is the devil's playground. And it's really starting to show, with the violence uptick and this a lot of stuff going on. So, man, it's been working with a lot of partners here in town. It's trying to get these kids an outlet, trying to keep them in line. And they say it takes a whole village to raise a child, but man, in this case, it might take a whole state.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Well, it's great to hear you doing great things like that. It's amazing to see people helping other people, especially during this time. So, congratulations on that. Let's see the Doc Rivers, Philadelphia, in the NBA. How about that? It seems like a good fit. He seems like a Philly guy. I don't know why, because he's been to LA, he's been involved. But Philly, I'm like, yeah, that just Doc Rivers and Philly. I'm like, yeah, that just feels right.
Yeah, it does. It does. I think that was a huge pickup for both parties involved. I think you get a young core that Philly has, and you get an experienced coach who can deal with different kind of talents with Doc Rivers. And I think that the expectations aren't as high as they were with the Clippers. The Clippers expected to be in a championship this year. They expect to win, even though they haven't been to a finals in forever. So I think Coach Rivers is definitely going to flourish and help the young guys like Embiid really grow and take that next step.
Yeah, and speaking of coaches, how about the Pacers? They've been without a coach for a minute now, and these other teams that have fired a coach, they're just like, okay, this guy's fired, this guy's hired. Pacers did they forget that they don't have a coach? They got to hire somebody, man.
Absolutely, man. I think it's a process. You want to. I don't like to believe that NBA teams love to recycle coaches. It's hard to build a culture and a program like that. But I think there's some good candidates out there still, and you got to find what's best for your core guys. With what Indiana has, you definitely want to find a coach that can get them going.
No doubt. And later on, we're going to talk the Big Ten basketball season, because it's going to be a juggernaut. And then in the middle of the show, Alec Lasley will join us from thehoosier.com. He'll update you on IU basketball recruiting, what's going on there. Not a lot of movement this week. Not a lot of stuff going on with that, but it's kind of slowed down as we're 2 weeks away from Big Ten football, Verdell, and I am excited. I am really excited that we had Tom Allen on here yesterday, and Indiana is coming off of the best season they've had since 1993, and they've got pretty much everybody back, and I'm looking forward to it. They've got a great offense. They've got a new offensive coordinator, which is going to be kind of a question mark. It's the third offensive coordinator in 3 years, but he's been with the program, so we'll see how that goes. But, man, they open up with Penn State, and that's another thing. We talk about, I asked him, can you imagine playing this time? And it doesn't matter whether it's basketball or football. All sport has what I call their warm-up games, where they're the pre-conference games that football gets to play, or the games in basketball. That's not going to happen so much this year, and especially in football. It's just a Big Ten schedule. I mean, that's just an old-fashioned fist fight.
For sure. And you'll see real quick how our team looks when you open up with Penn State. I really don't like the whole divisions of the Big Ten. I mean, if our side is loaded with talent, so you don't get any days off. But I mean, it's going to be this whole COVID situation, like you said, it's made things a little bit more trickier. But I mean, if you can come out and perform, I think you can make a lot of upsets.
Yeah, well, and another thing that I've talked about is the fact that these games in the Big Ten are going to be played without fans. Indiana has to go to Michigan. Well, that's fine. It's just playing in a big old cracker box now because there's nobody there. It's going to make a gigantic difference, and I think that we're going to see some big-time upsets in the Big Ten this year because of that. There's no way it does not make a difference going to Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, where you got 100,000 people normally and there's nobody there. It's going to make a difference for these visiting teams.
Absolutely. I think it's going to really – you see in the bubble now, the NBA. I mean, you see, Miami, their run.
It changes things.
Would they do that against Boston if you were playing in the TD Garden? Maybe not. Would you do that against the Bucks if you had to go to the Bucks and play and win 4 games? Maybe not. It's a whole different dynamic, and definitely in college sports, I think the fanfare is really something that has a huge effect. I mean, you hear all the time about people who come into Assembly Hall and say how crazy and raucous it is. I mean, same thing with Ohio State and Michigan in football. That's going to be a huge difference when you're playing on a Friday night, and instead of having 100,000 fans screaming against you, you have your teammates and other team. It creates a whole different kind of dynamic and atmosphere. And I think, like you said, if you really come to play, you can make some big upsets this year, whether it's Ohio State or Michigan or Penn State. Like it could be a whole different kind of season this year if you come ready to play.
And we'll talk about this later in the last segment. But basketball, there's going to be a lot of bubbles in college basketball, and a lot of these preseason things are going to be bubbled, and we don't know how much of it is going to be, but that's going to change this season. You're right. I don't think Miami is in the NBA Finals if this thing is played traditionally on home and away courts. I just don't see that. I think that I don't know that Denver has the run that they did. I mean, there's a reason that teams don't come back from 3-1. They did it twice in the same series. Come on. So that shows you right there to me, there's no way that stuff that has never, ever happened in the NBA ever. And it happens, this year with that team. So I think it just makes that much of a difference. It equalizes things, and I'm fine with that because it's just the joy of watching the competition.
Exactly. You just got to go out there and just play. You don't got the fans to hype you up. You don't have the band playing to get you going. No, it's just you, your guys, and other team. And I think, that's more difficult. You have to create your own energy. You have to create your own momentum.
Bring your own juice, baby.
Exactly. That's a whole different kind of a ball game, and if you can perform at that level, then you're a real hooper, a real athlete.
Well, we're going to bring our own juice next. As Alec Lasley will join us from thehoosier.com. We'll talk about some Indiana basketball recruiting and get caught up there. And Verdell Jones is sitting in with us. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of
Bubba's 50 TVs, Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Hey, this is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We're now a part of the Rivals Network. TheHoosier.com is where you'll find complete coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, as well as coverage of the Big Ten. Simply go to TheHoosier.com and sign up. It's free. You can also catch Indiana Sports Beat Radio there each day at your convenience, or you can find it any place you podcast or on this station each weekday. If we're not on the station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
No matter where you are in life, here's a question to consider. Do you have the right financial advisor to help you navigate where you want to go? An Ameriprise advisor will take the time to truly understand what's important to you and help you prepare for whatever life brings, both the expected and the unexpected, by providing personalized advice based on your goals and needs, and regular reviews along with digital tools to help you stay on track. With an Ameriprise advisor, you can feel more confident, connected, and in control of your financial life. Call Dennis Schneider, Heath Schneider, or Nick Davis with Schneider & Associates, a private wealth advisory practice of Ameriprise Financial Services. Call 877-827-1404. That's 877-827-1404. See Dennis Schneider at 236 North Elm Street in Henderson and Heath Schneider or Nick Davis at 20 East Campground Road in Evansville. Ameriprise Financial Services, LLC. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on this Friday. Alec Lasley from TheHoosier.com joining us to get us caught up on college basketball, recruiting, and all that. Alec, welcome in.
Hey, Jim. How you guys doing?
Pretty good. Verdell Jones on with us as well. Not a lot going on right now out in it's kind of slowed down in the recruiting world, Alec, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, most of the stuff going on right now is just your typical kind of Zoom calls, any virtual tours going on and virtual visits and stuff like that. I mean, you know, during this time, obviously we would be having a lot of visits and a lot more to talk about. Obviously, college football would have been kind of in the peak of their season right now. So you'd be seeing a lot of different high school players visiting for that as well. But, you know, everything's just virtual. So, I mean, you know, while players are doing that, and while we are kind of reporting on that's just kind of the basic day-to-day stuff. So there really isn't a ton of, you know, earth-shattering news as of right now in terms of, you know, any new guys on the radar or anything like that.
I know we've had a recent update in recruiting or ranking numbers, which is really irrelevant, but Indiana is one of the teams that they've got one commitment, and the guys that we're expecting, they're just kind of sitting there. Is that holding up anybody else? Do you think that there are potentially guys out there that are not going to commit to Indiana because they think that Kaufman and Miller are going to come here?
Yes and no. I mean, if you look at it, the way Indiana's roster is kind of constructed over the next year or two, obviously very guard heavy. So that's why you see a lot of these wings and forwards kind of in the 2021 class that they're still going after right now. I mean, we've talked about it for a couple of months now. I don't really necessarily foresee 2 out of the 3 of, you know, Bryce Hopkins, you know, Trey Kaufman, and then Mason Miller arriving in Bloomington. I really think it's going to be one out of those three. And at this point, I think obviously you take any one of those three, but obviously, you're going to be going for Trey Kaufman as that top line prospect. After that, I think they have their best shot with Aminu Mohammed, assuming he doesn't end up going the professional route. But I think those are the two that you're really kind of setting your sights on right now. And then that one right after that would be Mason Miller if things completely fall through and Trey Kaufman ends up going elsewhere.
Yeah, Verdell, back when you were being recruited, and it continues to change because, I mean, your recruitment wasn't that long ago, but it's still different, even though it wasn't that long ago. Everything has changed that much, that quickly. Can you imagine being in the recruitment pool now and how things have changed so unbelievably with social media and all that stuff?
Oh, it's a whole different atmosphere now than when I was a kid. I mean, you just go on Twitter and you just see it's a whole, the way that everything is handled and done is just, I mean, it's probably about 10 years ago since I've been recruited. So it wasn't just a couple years ago, it's been about a decade. So I'm sure that, I mean, I'm dealing with the kids every day. So I know that the whole mindset of the young athletes are different. So I'm sure that the whole situation is different too. Alec, my question to you is, I mean, what do you think has been the biggest change in the last decade to make athletes kind of, I don't want to say they changed a whole lot, but I mean, they have. It's not the same kind of mindset as a young athlete as it was when I was a young person. Is it different? Is social media that big of a factor into the way they think now?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you look at some of these guys, they obviously want to continue to progress their brand. And obviously at a young age, anyone, playing middle school, high school basketball, obviously their end goal is to play professionally. I think anyone who kind of does that has any sort of hope. Obviously they want to go to college, play at a high level, and then obviously go play professionally. And the best way to do that is go to, any of these top tier blue blood type programs, build that brand, and then play 1 or 2 years and then go off to the next step. And if you look at a lot of these big names, it's all through social media. I mean, Zion Williamson had 1 million followers before he even played a single game at Duke, which is absolutely incredible. And so I think if you look at it that way, some of these recruitments of some of these players may have taken a different turn 10 years ago. Whereas, maybe some of these programs may not have been as big or as, big in the brand development world as they are now. And I think you're kind of seeing that with the way that a lot of these lists and, top 3, top 5 are kind of put together. A lot of it may just be for kind of publicity. And obviously at times that's the case when they already kind of know where they want to go, but they still want to continue to drag it out and continue to have their name in the media. So I think that's probably the biggest change, just a lot of different egos going on in high school right now, just because of social media and being able to get their highlight tapes out and stuff like that.
And I think that waters down everything too. I mean, it's not about talent anymore. Like you said, I think the biggest word you just said was brand. They're trying to create a brand. And while it is a smart thing to do, if you're trying to, be that NBA caliber player, it's marketing yourself, but I just feel like there's a lot of talented guys who might not have that publicity push that doesn't get a fair shot. I mean, you saw it sometimes when I was younger, but when you go to these AU tournaments, it seemed to all fizzle out. They seem to equal out. But I feel like now it's a much more bigger business.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it and you have the shoe brands, and that obviously equates to kind of what AAU circuit you're going to play on, and then at certain times that even equates to what college you end up going to. So it starts when you're in middle school basically, and it doesn't seem to stop until obviously you end up retiring almost. So they're in that spotlight from such a young age, and I think that's the biggest difference from now and then from when you were kind of going through your recruiting process.
For sure.
Well, man, it's always something, and you talk about it has become a big business. There's so many people, it's created opportunities for people to do what we do, what Alec does, coaches, the AAU. I mean, it's like everything though. Look at things like cheerleading. Cheerleading is a gigantic business. If people don't realize this, it is gigantic. There are people that put on cheerleading clinics, whatever, like in different towns. Go look or see where they live. I promise you, they are living on the nice side of town. It's unbelievable. The money that goes into those things, uniforms and all that. My daughter did that when she was younger, and I was like, thank God she got out. It's crazy. It's nuts. I'm like, wow, the commitment at that level. But it just shows you there are so many different things out there, Verdell, so many different vehicles and avenues to go down in sports. But yeah, it's nuts how that is. You can just businessize all of that stuff.
No, definitely. And it was crazy. You know, we started our youth program last year. This is our second year in the AU team. And they hear from some of the parents about how much they were paying for their kids to play on different AAU teams. It's almost criminal. I mean, you talk about parents paying thousands of dollars for a few months of basketball. And it's gotten to the point to where, you know, in certain places, kids who can afford it get the opportunity and kids who can't don't, you know, and I think that's criminal too.
Yeah, there's, I mean, like you look at basketball and how many programs there are now, and each program has a gazillion teams under each of it. That you talk about a business, man, there's a gigantic business. Those businesses are so big, they build their own indoor basketball arenas. That's not easy to do. Well, I mean, where we went up and saw Trey Kaufman and Logan Duncan play earlier this summer, I mean, that's exactly what that is right there. That's a facility built off of simply creating sports in the community, baseball, whatever. It's crazy. I wish we'd have had that when I was a kid, when I was an athlete. It would have been fun to have that stuff. It'd be real fun to have turf on your high school field. All the high schools have turf now. I don't know that these athletes have any clue. Now, of course, our dads were telling us this, but they don't have any clue how lucky they are today. I don't think. Do you think that? I mean, Verdell and Verdell's like in between me. Alec is a little younger. Verdell's a little more younger, and then I go back further. Those are different generations, but I know everybody says that. But do you think that, Verdell, or is it the same?
Oh, they've definitely got more quality stuff we did. I mean, half of my youth I was playing on a concrete, you know, or I was playing on gravel, you know, and we didn't even think about having a nice indoor gym with glass backboard, air conditioning. No, our air conditioning was a fan, you know. So I definitely think that it has upgraded quite a bit since we played. That might be for the best, you know. My knees took a beating from playing all those years on concrete. So I think a lot of these athletes now, you know, it's about playing, you know, the longevity and keeping the body fresh.
Absolutely. And you're going to need fresh bodies this year, Alec. I mentioned earlier, the Big Ten is going to be an absolute meat grinder. Verdell's in Champaign and Illinois, Iowa. Those are two teams that I see as, my gosh, do they have talent? And not only are they a force to be reckoned with in the Big Ten, those two teams, and not only those two, but specifically those two, they're going to be a player on the national stage. They should be, at least. That's got to make things difficult for a team like Indiana when you know you've got teams in your league that are national title contenders.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and when was the last time we talked about the Big Ten? And the third team that we mentioned was Michigan State. And then that just kind of shows you just how talented and deep the league is this year. Obviously, it's always deep, as we saw last year. But, you know, I think if you look at it kind of this way, obviously – last year, Iowa and Illinois had roughly the same kind of talent level that they have, you know, this year. Obviously, some incoming freshmen for Illinois really kind of puts them kind of on that top line, I think, when it comes to the Big Ten. Obviously, you lose a little bit with Michigan State, but still, Tom Izzo obviously always has his group ready to play. But you look at the games that Indiana played in, and I think I referenced this a couple weeks ago. When you look at between you know, second and third in the Big Ten and eighth and ninth, there's not a lot to separate them. So when you add in the talented group that Indiana is bringing back and the talented group that they're bringing in, I really think that as long as they stay healthy and, you know, a couple bounces are obviously going to have to go their way. A couple bounces probably won't go this year that maybe went their way last year. but they have the talent level to definitely compete near the top of that. Obviously headlined by Trace Jackson Davis and Christian Lander and the rest of that kind of core group that they've had there for now 2 years. But they definitely are talented enough to be up at the top of the Big Ten when it's all said and done.
It's going to be exciting. I mean, I think that Big Ten basketball and football is currently set up, even though we're in this COVID situation, the league talent-wise and expectation-wise, it's as high as it's ever been. I mean, look at the football teams. How many teams are ranked? Look at the basketball team. How many teams are ranked? It's nuts. I don't remember the league being quite this strong on both sides because they're both at an epic level.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you look at it that way, it's definitely the best that it's kind of been in a long time. And I think that's going to be what's exciting for everyone when it's all said and done at the end of this year, assuming they can finish.
Yeah, the biggest important thing is that we get to do that, hopefully. So that everyone gets through COVID. We saw that the NFL had their first and only cancellation of a game with the Steelers and the Titans this week. So hopefully that doesn't happen because, man, you talk about changing the season quickly with being so few games. That would – because it's not going to be one game probably. It would be multiple, and it would affect a lot of things. But, Alec, anything else going on?
No, I mean, obviously we're kind of looking ahead to the player previews this year. We're going to be taking a look at starting off with the senior class. I had something about Joey Brunk a couple days ago. Later today will be Al Durham. And then obviously going on from there, just taking a look at the entire roster and kind of what to expect from them this year. And, obviously, recruiting, even though it's not as, fast paced as it normally is around, this time of year, it still is, ongoing. So, keep looking out for stuff like that.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you as always. Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com, Indiana Rivals. Make sure you follow and give him a follow for complete coverage of Indiana athletics and the Big Ten. Brother, I appreciate you. Hope you have a great weekend.
All right. Thanks, guys. Take care.
You bet.
Have a good one, Alec.
Thanks.
Joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat, as he always does. But, yeah, that senior leadership, he talked about. He's got a piece on Al Durham coming up, Verdell. How important is senior leadership on a basketball team?
It's extremely important. It helps keeps the younger guys understanding, how things flow. It helps create the environment, and the culture in their program. And I think, for the Hoosiers now, this is their first really senior class, I think, that has gone all the way through with Coach Archie. And that's a big thing. If you have seniors from a different coach and you get a new coach coming in, they've been taught two different ways. But when you have some young guys that have gone all the way through with one coach, that's how you build a culture. That's how you establish something. I think my senior year we had Cody as a freshman, it helped us create an identity a little bit more because we've had a group of freshmen who were there all 4 years and became seniors. And when you've done that, then now your culture has been built. Now you have an understanding of how things are going. And I mean, that plays a huge part in the Big Ten schedule.
Yeah, we got more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat. We got some text messages to get to. We'll talk more about basketball. It's exactly follow up on what Verdell was just talking about. And Christian Lander, freshman sensation coming in. We're going to talk about what's it like when you have a freshman come in, because there's some upperclassmen that want their minutes, man. And you got a freshman coming in, it's going to be taking a lot of minutes. We'll talk about that as well when we come back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, Indiana Sports Beat. Back with that and more right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs, Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Hey, this is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We're now a part of the Rivals Network. TheHoosier.com is where you'll find complete coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, as well as coverage of the Big Ten. Simply go to TheHoosier.com and sign up. It's free. You can also catch Indiana Sports Beat Radio there each day at your convenience, or you can find it any place you podcast or on this station each weekday. If we're not on the station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make it tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
No matter where you are in life, here's a question to consider. Do you have the right financial advisor to help you navigate where you want to go? An Ameriprise advisor will take the time to truly understand what's important to you and help you prepare for whatever life brings, both the expected and the unexpected, by providing personalized advice based on your goals and needs, and regular reviews along with digital tools to help you stay on track. With an Ameriprise advisor, you can feel more confident, connected, and in control of your financial life. Call Dennis Schneider, Heath Schneider, or Nick Davis with Schneider & Associates, a private wealth advisory practice of Ameriprise Financial Services. Call 877-827-1404. That's 877-827-1404. See Dennis Schneider at 236 North Elm Street in Henderson and Heath Schneider or Nick Davis at 20 East Campground Road in Evansville. Ameriprise Financial Services, LLC. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville.
Feeling me. No more Mr. Nice Guy. No more.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on this Friday. Verdell Jones sitting in with us, co-hosting as always on this day. And how about some picks for the weekend? Aaron Pino's Picks is going to join us here. We're going to give you a few picks, maybe make some bones this weekend. Aaron, how's it going?
Good. How you guys doing?
Good, doing fine. What you guys have been doing pretty well on your picks here of late.
Yeah, it's been a great week. 5 straight Major League playoff wins. That'll make us 5-0 for Major League playoffs. And we got a pick today for an afternoon game, looking to go 6-0 in Major League playoffs. So it's a great start to the playoff, and also a great start for our college football members last weekend, 2-0. So it's been a great last 7 days, and we're just looking to keep rolling.
What do you got tonight then to keep that streak alive?
All right, so I actually got 4 picks for you. I'm going to take you all the way through the weekend. I got 2 tonight, 1 tomorrow, and 1 NFL on Sunday. So we actually took the Cubs yesterday, but with that game being postponed, we're going to roll with the Cubs today. They play at, I think, 2 o'clock or 2:05 Eastern time. Our boy Yu Darvish is on the mound. You know, Cubs got held to 4 hits last game. You know, common sense says that won't happen again. Plus, you know, we all know, and there's probably some Cubs fans on here. Yu Darvish is a beast on the mound. Cubs get this win. I would flirt with taking Cubs -1.5, but that's on you. But our pick is the money line. Tonight, Lakers -9. Better get on this before it goes to 12 or 13 because Goran Dragic is out tonight and Bam Adebayo is out tonight as well. You know, with Adebayo being out, as tall and as lanky as the Lakers are, who do they have to guard inside? You know, Crowder, I'm sorry, he's not going to be able to guard Davis and Howard all night. Expect the Lakers to control the board, score a lot inside. The Heat are going to have to make 23s to keep this game close. And the Lakers have covered 9 out of the last 3 games over the spread. So when the Lakers win, they usually cover. They almost always cover. In the last 12 games, the only game they didn't cover when they won was when Davis hit that last-second shot. But Lakers are rolling against the spread, so tonight Lakers -9. I think it's 9.5 right now, so buy the half point, get it to 9. If you're going to do it, I'd do it now before it goes to 10. Let's look at tomorrow. We got one college football game we really like. Texas Longhorns at home against TCU Horned Frogs. That game's at noon Eastern time. We're going to ride the arm of Sam Ehlinger. And probably the hottest and most talented wide receiver group in the country, kind of flying under the radar. They're loaded. They got Tariq Black, a transfer from Michigan, just lighting it up early down there. Won the shootout last week over Texas Tech, but they are -12. They win that game 2 touchdowns or more. Write it down, cash in. Sunday, I know our Indy people are going to love this. We're taking Kansas City -6 to blow out the Patriots at home. Let's face it, Kansas City, they score a bunch of points. New England's going to try to control the running game. They lead the NFL right now in rushing yards per game. So with Cam Newton and a plethora of running backs, they're going to try to slow it down. But let's face it, Kansas City covers. It ain't going to happen. Kind of maybe a little bit of homer pick too, because we're all not Patriots fans. But when Kansas City wins, they usually win big. So until they prove us wrong, we're rolling with them. And looking at Cam Newton, what a great year he's had. Being from Indianapolis myself, and your guys' show being and covering Indiana sports, it'd be interesting to run a poll right now. Who would you rather have? Would you rather have Cam Newton, being a starting quarterback for the Colts right now? So kind of an interesting play there, how good he's playing. But just a quick review: we got Cubs at 2:00 today, Lakers tonight -9, Texas -12 Saturday, Kansas City -6, all day long, baby.
He's got him. There you go. Pino's Picks. It's Monday. I'll check it out and see how we did, and we'll try it again next week. But, man, have a great weekend, and stay safe, and good luck.
Yeah, appreciate it. Anybody wants to join, go to pinospicks.com. We got college basketball coming around the corner. We've already started doing our research for that. So we're going to have an early bird special coming out. So keep your eyes open for that, but check us out. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it, Jim.
You betcha. There you go. We'll get it on there. There's some games I get to get on that Lakers. Verdell, you had to like that. Hearing about the Cubs, got a Cubs pick in there for you, so they're playing.
That definitely made me smile. I feel a lot better on this Friday now.
Yeah, well, they're playing right now, so we'll see how that turns out. But there you go. You took the Cubs, the money line as opposed to -1.5. The Lakers -9. How about the Lakers, man? They seem well. Of course, he mentioned a lot of injuries and for Miami, but the Lakers, they seem a little determined right now.
Oh, they're hungry. I think LeBron. He senses that he can get a 4th ring right.
How
now.
big is that to LeBron?
That'll be huge for his legacy and his career for sure. I mean, to be able to win everywhere you've gone, whether it's the East or the West, that's huge. I mean, you could have your own opinions about him as a player or whatever, but what we're witnessing right now is, is one of the once in a lifetime type of opportunities. We're definitely going to miss him when he's gone.
Oh, no doubt. It's pretty incredible what he's doing. There's no doubt to go, like you said, to win wherever you go, Miami, Cleveland, and now the Lakers. And the Lakers, they need that. That's one of those programs that is, you need to have a Lakers, the Celtics, the Patriots, the Bears. You need the Yankees. You want these teams, the Reds. You need these teams, these rivalries in sports. Let them have a down year every now and then to make them be human. But I think you need these teams to do well.
Absolutely. These are our legacy teams. These are the teams with all the greats, the Birds, the Magics came from. It's full of history. Like an Indiana program. You want to see the Hoosiers, you want to see the Dukes, you want to see these programs. On top of their game. And for the Lakers to bounce back and be where they're at now, And being the first time since Kobe, I mean, it's huge for the dynasty or for the legacy of the Lakers, and huge for LA right now too.
Well, that's why in college basketball, you need Kentucky and Duke and Kansas and Indiana to be those teams. Indiana's not pulling the weight. Hopefully they can get back to that point as they're heading in that direction. But it's fun to see Indiana and Kentucky play or Duke and North Carolina play. Those are just the games that you remember, whether you're a fan, a player, or whatever. I mean, when you look back on your career, I mean, the games that stand out, I know that every one of them may not be that type of game, but those big-time rivalry games just have to just glow a little bit more than the others.
They do. They absolutely do. I mean, I really wish that Kentucky and IU could get their rivalry going back. I mean, I think that's one of the very missed ones. You know, if you just look back over the time of basketball history, I mean, there are two historic programs coming from two historic basketball states who are next to each other. You know, I think the college basketball fans need that. You know, the IU Purdue rivalry, the North Carolina Duke rivalry, the Kentucky Louisville rivalry is another one that's huge that people don't overlook. So I mean, those big historic programs, you know, it makes those rivalries so much more fun to watch and experience when they're on top of their games.
Yeah, because if you look back at, I mean, you're involved in one of the most iconic moments in the history of Indiana basketball, and that is saying something. But if that had been against Iowa State, that's not the same. That moment it's not that, and it's weird. If you simply change the jerseys of the guys on the other team, that moment loses a lot of its luster.
It does. You can keep it was great, like you said. You can keep the exact same players. Heck, you can even keep the exact same coach. But if you change the jersey, that significance is a lot less, you know. And so I think, you know, that's part of the basketball richness, you know, that having those upsets against those historical juggernauts, you know, those are the things that make those basketball moments that much more special.
Well, talking about that moment, since we are, what was that moment like for you? I mean, golly, there's just so much that it exploded when it happened because Hoosier Nation was so hungry to get to that point and to get there against that team ranked number one. Wow. You are right in the middle of that.
Yeah, it was, I mean, it's, you know, talk about it all the time. It was a really surreal feeling, you know. The 3 years before were just such a heartache, you know, and just so down that it felt like a huge weight off your shoulder to be able to accomplish something like that. And I think it really propelled the rest of the season that we had. You know, unfortunately, we had some injuries at the end of the year, but you know, that was a special year, and I think it all started with that game. So. I mean, that's something, you know, you see the commercials or you see, you know, replays of it. And I mean, every single time it gives you little goosebumps.
I can only imagine. But, yeah, Indiana needs to continue to move forward and have some more of those moments and make them – they used to be those moments were more common. And unfortunately, they've gotten away from that. But they definitely heading back in there, the roster that Archie is putting together, and that's why we're waiting. We had Alec on with us earlier and talking about the anticipation of recruiting coming up. Man, they're on the precipice of having a great class. And I mentioned before the break as well, you've got Christian Lander in there now, a superstar freshman who reclassified freshman. So he's a young guy. What's that like if you're an upperclassman and you got this young upstart coming in, man? I know that everybody's on the team, but it's still a battle. I mean, he's going to be taking some minutes from people.
Oh, definitely. And I mean, on that stage, man, the best players play. And really what it might do is you might see the best out of your upperclassmen now. You know, you're being forced to really take that growth in your own game. You know, when I was playing, you had Vic and Will and guys like that who are up and coming. It makes the upperclassmen step up. You gotta be on your P's and Q's. You gotta be coming every day with your lunch pail because you got younger, hungry guys want more minutes, and that all that does is create a healthy competition. I think especially if you have the right coaches in there, help orchestrating it, because at the end of the day, you don't want any animosity toward each other. If that happens, you won't win. You're still a family, so you got to have that fine line, and that's going to be a huge, important role for Archie to handle, and I'm hoping they do.
Yeah, the line of competitiveness and getting to play. I mean, everybody that's on that roster wants to play, but that's not the case. There's only 5 guys that get to go out there and at a time, and again, I talk about those. How about last year's sophomores? You got a freshman coming in now. Boy, if he's doing it now, well, you got to worry about next year. There's going to be more freshmen coming in the following year. So, man, it is a battle that just never goes away.
Yeah, people don't understand that every single year, it's you have to upgrade your game, upgrade your mindset, because every single year it's new classes coming in, new players want new opportunities. So if you stay stagnant in your development, or if you're unwilling to modify your game, then you could be on the bench. Looking back at my career, my first 3 years, I scored a lot of points, but we didn't win. And it took me my senior year to really kind of almost change my game a little bit and become more of a pass first and a team oriented guy. And that I think that's something that we definitely needed on a talented team like we had my senior year.
Tim, hit the text line. You can do the same at any time, no matter when you're able to listen to us. So we'll get back to the text, 812-269-6367, 812-269-6367. Tim, hit it up. Clemson freshman running back DeMarcus Bowman just put his name in the transfer portal after 2 games. Transfer portal, something that was also not around in your day, Verdell. They can just now hit the transfer portal. I don't like how things are going. I'm going to leave. Boom. 2 games into the football season, somebody hits the transfer portal. That's a new one.
Yeah, that is, man. I think unfortunately, just the next generation has kind of been spoiled by that. When we were growing up, and definitely the guys before us, if it got tough, man, you stuck it out. You figure out a way to make it happen. Only if it was the last case scenario did you think about really trying to transfer. And even when you transferred, I mean, it was never quite the same as it was if you committed somewhere originally. You know what I mean? But now guys are flip-flopping all over the place. And, I mean, I think it's hard to create a culture like that. But at the same time, man, I sound like an old head because the game has definitely changed quite a bit now. And, that's how it is. So you got to go with the flow.
Yeah, I'm sure there are a lot of guys that played for Bob Knight that were on the verge of leaving that did not leave. They're probably glad they stayed because they're like, well, I would have missed out on that opportunity. But you're right. I mean, it's too easy now.
Well, you never know what you can become unless you hit an obstacle like that and go through it. Obstacles and challenges happen for a reason. That's for us to mature and grow and develop. And if you just quit every time stuff gets hard, I mean, what are you preparing yourself for down the line? I mean, hell, as soon as you get into this real world, so to speak, stuff hits the fan all the time. You got to be able to take those bumps and bruises and keep on going forward. You can't just quit and try to find something different. It might work in the transfer portal, but once you get to the real world, it definitely does not.
Man, you're singing the tune, man, because I don't think that these kids get it. We talked about it earlier that they're spoiled. Here's another example that they can take their ball and go home, basically. And man, and you just hit the nail on the head. You've got to overcome hardships to be able to handle hardships when they come, because they will come and nonstop. That's just life. And I think people are I've seen it going on for years now. People are just making it too easy for their kids. They think that they're doing them a favor, and they're not. And they're not helping society as a whole by doing that either, I don't think. Boy, we're get off my lawn kind of deal now, aren't we, Verdell?
Yeah, man. I'm not, and I think that you're seeing the way that the world's, or especially our country right now, the way we're going, is that we have really babied and kind of almost softened up the next generation instead of giving them those hard lessons and allowing them to learn the way that we did growing up.
Right, Verdell, let's see. I let you know that you've got a big fan up in Michigan. He's a huge men's basketball fan. Ryan up in Whitmore Lake, Michigan. He also played a year of college basketball, but a big fan of yours.
Awesome.
So, shout out to Ryan.
Ryan. Thank you, sir.
But, yeah, it's been a great week, man. I can't thank you enough for coming on. It's what do you got going on this weekend?
So we're just actually me and my wife just bought a new house. So we're doing renovations, and that's honeydew. Oh, and trust me, Jim, the honeydew list is quite extensive. It's almost like a honeydew book.
It's on I think they use a whiteboard. It just never ends. There's just always just wipe that one out and put another one on there.
Does. She actually does a erase board, and it seems like the list keeps on growing. No matter what gets erased, there's always something more added to it. So just trying to get that stuff done and trying to enjoy the rest of this semi good weather before this winter hits.
Yeah, that's a list that never seems to stop and continues to grow, man. Well, I can't thank you enough as always for being with us. It was fun and can't wait to do it again. And hope you have a great weekend and maybe go out and hit some of those Pinos picks. Maybe I'll put some of them on the line. Put a few change on there.
Definitely. Hopefully the Cubs win, man. I mean, we don't want to be a one-hit wonder. Hopefully we can make some noise in this COVID postseason.
Well, we'll see how Kyle Schwarber and the Cubs do as well, as they're probably out there playing right now. But I thank you a lot, man. I thank everybody. It's been a great week. Thanks a lot to Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com for joining us. Looking forward to that. But we'll be back on Monday. I hope you have a great weekend. Watch some college football. There's plenty of it going on, NBA and all that. Stay healthy. Do something nice for somebody. Wear your mask. And until Monday, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.